So much war caused by Brandon. Thank God he's doing something very different than Brandon. Oh, that's right. He's doing the exact same thing that Brandon did. Operation Save Amazon Prime 2 Electric Boogaloo, baby. Every administration has bombed Yemen. Every single one. How insane, dude. We are the bad guys, okay? We are the bad guys. It's all cope. Holy, that is so crazy. Top Houthi official says, we are at war with America as the U.S. resumes strikes.
Overnight, Houthi rebels fired another missile at Israel from their base in Yemen. The Houthis are labeled by the United States as a foreign terrorist organization supported by Iran. And yesterday, President Trump once again demanded Iran cease its support and wrote of the Houthis, they will be completely annihilated. Nick Schifrin speaks to a top Houthi official and reports how the Trump administration hopes its new airstrike campaign will succeed where previous ones have failed.
In the Red Sea, once again, the U.S. Navy is at war.
Say bye-bye, Americans. Bye-bye to free college. Every time you watch one of these videos, remember, bye-bye to free healthcare. Let's wave away. Bye-bye. Trump acting like he fucking hates Brandon. So much war caused by Brandon. Thank God he's doing something very different than Brandon. Oh, that's right. He's doing the exact same thing that Brandon did. Operation Save Amazon Prime 2 Electric Boogaloo, baby. Donald Trump saved Gaza in one day, saved Ukraine in one day. The great peacekeeper. Bless him. Every time the secular right sabotages the elections, they blame it on the left, claiming we didn't go hard enough to change the minds of hogs from Kaiser. The same fucking thing the centrists do in the U.S. Only difference is that we get jailed and tortured. In Turkey, yeah.
For 6 days, the U.S. has launched dozens of strikes and sorties attacking Houthi targets in Yemen, including for the first time Houthi leadership.
At the end of the day, we are at war with America, and of course there will
Is bro rocking a Herman Miller? Because respect, if that's the
be
case.
casualties, but these casualties do not include senior leadership.
Jamal Amer is the Houthi foreign minister. We spoke to him from the Houthi-controlled Yemeni capital, Sana'a.
Civilians in Sana'a were bombed.
It's so funny because they will fucking be like, oh, the Houthi-controlled capital Sana'a. First of all, I can't believe PBS is platforming a terrorist, okay? I'm sure all of the liberal slop tubers who claim that they're apolitical centrists but also love American violence will turn around and get real mad about this shit. That's number one. Of course they won't. Number two, yeah, the snark slop tubers whose only understanding of worldviews is worldview global events is basically what does Hasan think? Okay, I'm against that. So the other thing I was gonna say is like when these guys say like a Houthi controlled Sana'a, that's a stupid way to approach this. Ansar Allah is the current administration in control of Yemen. Okay. The civil war is done. There's no more outside elements that are even involved in trying to dismantle the current leadership. And virtually every single group that engaged in armed combat backed by the UAE or backed by Saudi Arabia or even Al-Qaeda itself has basically fucking dropped their arms and either directly support the Ansar Allah movement and its blockade and the implementation of the blockade as long as the genocide in Gaza continues, or they're just not saying anything. Yeah. It's crazy. Oh my God. Trump and White House officials claim that their aggression on Yemen is killing our children and peoples to protect the American people. Well, just look at Jackson Hinkle. See how we torture him and put him at risk in a traditional Yemeni outfit. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to say nothing, okay? I'm not saying nothing, okay? Jackson Hinkle literally is, one, pro-Trump, like openly, and two, is pro Tulsi Gabbard openly. Like, what are you? Yeah, whatever. Hey, listen, I'm not saying nothing. All right. I'm not saying nothing. I'm sure he's not a. I'm sure he's a real. You're saying something? Yeah, people get really mad at me when I point out how interesting it is that you got in the United States of America dudes like Mahmoud Khalil being fucking deported and arrested. Okay, legal permanent residence for the crime of protesting Israel's genocide and being a student activist leader. And Jackson Hinkle's just fucking doing whatever he wants. Okay, doing whatever he wants all around the world. It's just odd that he's, pro-Trump and openly a MAGA communist, and he's still, he found a unique avenue where he's just both pro-Trump and also pro-Ansar Allah.
Bombed because the capital was targeted.
Houthi authorities say the strikes have wounded or killed dozens, including children. The U.S. denies any civilian casualties and instead blames the Houthis for bringing it on themselves. Beginning in November 2023, Houthi rebels targeted, seized commercial vessels, and kidnapped and killed foreign sailors. The Houthis claim to target ships linked to Israel in solidarity.
I don't think they killed foreign sailors. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember them. I don't remember them killing foreign sailors. Did they? Maybe they did. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe they did. These commercials, kidnapped, kill. Who do they kill? Oh, they did. This was their first fatal attack. Houthi claimed missile attack on Greek-operated Barbados flag commercial ship kills 3 sailors off the coast of Yemen. They did. Correcting the record here. Yeah, they were showing the Galaxy Leader apprehension that did not. There were no casualties in that one. The Houthis claimed responsibility for the attack on Wednesday, which set the Liberian-owned Barbados flagship True Confidence ablaze approximately 50 nautical miles off the coast of Yemen's port of Aden. The U.S. Military Central Command reported 3 fatalities, at least 4 injuries, of 3 are in critical condition, as well as significant damage to the ship. 2 aerial photos released by U.S. military show the ship's bridge and cargo on board ablaze. These reckless attacks by the Houthis have disrupted global trade and taken the lives of international seafarers simply doing their jobs, which are some of the hardest jobs in the world. Earlier on Wednesday, the United Kingdom's Maritime Trade Operations Agency and the vessel was no longer under the command of the crew. They had abandoned it. Brigadier General Yahya Saadi, a Houthi military spokesman, claimed the attack in a pre-recorded message saying its missile set the blaze. He said the rebels' attack would only stop when the siege on the Palestinian people in Gaza is lifted. After the missile hit, the crew abandoned the ship and deployed lifeboats. A U.S. warship and the Indian Navy were on board the scene, trying to assist the rescue efforts. The Jarek said the attacks are causing risk to property, to life, and ecology in the area. Houthi fighters in the Yemen have repeatedly launched drones and missiles against international commercial shipping since mid-November. Houthi attacks have disrupted global shipping, forcing firms to reroute to the longer and more expensive journey around southern Africa. Breaking a blockade is dangerous, but it's still fucked up. Come on, dude. What are you talking about? Unless you're Israel, when you can kill international global charity organizations and their members, and you can totally get away with that because you were doing a genocide. If you are against the genocide and trying to implement a blockade, and in that instance you end up killing seafarers, of course that's the. I mean, I personally do think it's unacceptable. For the record, I just want to make sure you understand. Like, these are random fucking sailors, you know. Like, implementing a blockade is one thing, but blowing up a ship and then killing sailors is not even remotely appropriate. It was not on purpose, I know, but still. Despite more than a month and a half of U.S.-led air raids on the Houthis, the group has remained capable of launching significant attacks. How do you enforce a blockade then? Overtake the ships, like they did in the past. Were they armed? No, I don't think they were armed. No, I don't think these were like. This was completely. This was. No, they didn't have guns. Chat, you don't have to fucking literally assume that every single action taken by the Ansar Allah movement is ultimately the correct action. There's no reason to, like, yes, these are not armed boats. Okay, they're international commercial shipping vessels. They don't have any arms on them. It's illegal to have any arms on them. Houthi assault on Tuesday apparently targeted the USS Carney, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer that has been involved in the U.S. campaign against the rebels. The attack on Carney involved bomb-carrying drones on an anti-tank ballistic missile. The U.S. later launched an air raid, destroying 3 anti-ship missiles and 3 bomb-carrying drone boats, Central Command said. İmamoğlu is sent to court for arrest as of this moment. They're sending him to the court.
Solidarity with Gaza, but their targets were much wider. During the Gaza ceasefire, they paused their attacks on ships. But when Israel blocked humanitarian aid to Gaza, the Houthis vowed to respond. And last Saturday, President Trump ordered the new strikes that Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth told Fox News will continue until the Houthis stop.
This will continue until you say, we're done shooting at ships, we're done shooting at assets.
Will you stop your targeting of Navy ships and commercial ships?
When the siege on Gaza ends, the tension in the Red Sea will end. Therefore, when Gaza receives aid and Israel implements the agreement, everything will end.
Will you expand your attacks to U.S. bases in Djibouti and the United Arab Emirates?
Now that the USS Truman is targeting Yemen, Truman is being targeted back. But as the war expands, missiles and aircrafts launched against Yemen will be hit.
The Houthis are an Iranian-backed rebel group that in 2014 seized Sana'a. Their enemy, the soldiers of the internationally recognized government of Yemen, supported by a Saudi-led coalition that failed to defeat the Houthis with 7 years of U.S.-backed airstrikes.
We don't want a long, limited war in the Middle East. We don't care what happens in the Yemeni civil war. This is about stopping the shooting at assets in that critical waterway to reopen freedom of navigation, which is a core national interest of the United States. And Iran has been enabling the Houthis for far too long. They better back off.
The U.S. and UN say Iran provides the Houthis parts for its advanced missiles, as well as funding, training, and intelligence, something the Houthis in Iran deny.
Has Iran asked you to restrain your response to the U.S. strikes?
Iran doesn't direct Yemen. Yemen is a sovereign state, and we do not accept directives from anyone.
Iran has had its strategic air defense removed by Israel. Hezbollah has had its leaders killed and its political influence in Lebanon diminished. And Hamas itself has had its leaders killed and its military capacity severely diminished. Do you acknowledge that the so-called axis of resistance is at its weakest point in years?
We are not entirely dependent on our allies. We merely help our allies. So this is a Yemeni decision, allies or not.
The Houthis run a de facto government that oversees most of Yemen's population. Their critics say they govern not for the people, but for themselves, and collect taxes to wage war despite...
Oh, that's crazy. Why don't you use OBS? What? I do use OBS. What are you talking about? The fuck? Oh, that's crazy. I can't believe it. Most people that are overseas and not in Yemen don't like the current administration. Okay. It seems like the people in Yemen do, though. He said, why do you use OBS? Wait, what? Why do I use OBS as opposed to what? OBS is one of the greatest fucking inventions of all time. Everybody uses OBS. They just use reskinned versions of OBS that people make money off of. Open source is one of the greatest things. XSplit? Is that the other thing? Okay. OBS is amazing. I love open source. I love open source software in general. It's everything that I advocate for. It's everything that I love.
Despite claims they want peace.
You bombed government ports. You've refused to recognize the UN-backed government. Until you take that step of recognition, how can anyone take seriously
You refuse to recognize the UN-backed government?
your claim that you want peace?
Like, how do you not feel embarrassed? How do you not fucking feel embarrassed to say that when the UN also is not backing the Israeli government's genocide? And these guys are literally the only fucking game in town outside of like Iran as an independent entity in the region, as a state, that's trying to do something to stop the genocide.
The so-called legitimate government is a byproduct of Saudi Arabia, of course. So we've never spoken to them. There's always been dialogue and discussion with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
But over the last year, the Houthis have arrested dozens of UN workers. One World Food Program employee died in Houthi custody.
Why do you keep detaining UN staff? Many of these people have spent their lives trying to help others, doing humanitarian work.
Only 23 of the 2,000 Yemeni employees working with international organizations were detained. Therefore, we confirm that our government will work on strengthening relations with the United Nations.
But the U.S. military says the Houthis seized food from a World Food Program storage depot in Sadda. Why are you doing this when that food is designed for the Yemeni people?
The food that belongs to the civilians is only taken when there were attacks on Sana'a and the warehouse was threatened. So we took the food and distributed it to people in need.
And they are in need. Yemen is one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. And now...
Yeah, good thing we're fucking bombing them again. Every administration has bombed Yemen. Every single one. How insane, dude. Oh my God. It is... We are the bad guys, okay? We are the bad guys. It's all cope. It's wild that we bomb the fucking poorest country on the planet that was under a Western coalition force-backed genocide and full-blown blockade that caused a major famine in the country. And then after a peace agreement was secured by China between Iran, which is the nation state backing the Ansar Allah movement, which is the government of Yemen, and Saudi Arabia and UAE, which were backing the previous administration or coalition forces against the Ansar Allah movement in Yemen. After that period of brief peace was implemented, as soon as Yemen decided to implement a fucking blockade on the Red Sea alongside their coastline in an effort to create economic punishments for Israel for the crime of doing a genocide, all of a sudden it's, back to square one. Time to bomb them into oblivion again. It's wild to me that people don't recognize that the dudes doing that are the bad guys. If the Houthis are targeting ships, is the U.S. supposed to do what? Genuine question, because I'm not getting it. I understand that displacing people in a poor country is awful, but if they're attacking back, what's the solution to that? It's a very simple solution. Look to the time period where there were no ships being targeted or attacked. Before October 7, before Israel's genocide on Gaza, and also during periods of ceasefire. America controls Israel. It's not the other way around. America could stop Israel doing a genocide in Gaza. America refuses to do so. So Yemen, being one of the few countries, is trying to use their geopolitical conditions or their place on the map and the limited amount of power that they have to do anything, to try to do something, anything to make it more costly for Israel to conduct this genocide. I'm sorry. The solution is very simple. Americans, especially in mainstream media, desperately avoid that conversation. One must ask the question, why? He said it in the interview. He said, the only thing that will stop us, you can keep bombing us all day, every day. This is not something new for us. The only thing that will stop us from implementing this blockade is if Israel stops doing a genocide in Gaza. It's that simple. And yet, for some weird reason, Americans are never even broaching that question. Israel is not a natural disaster. It's a nation state. It's a fascist nation state. It's that simple. Just as I would not discount the resistance against Nazi Germany in World War II, if there were nation states before the Allied forces that were trying to do everything they can to harm the German economy in an effort to stop them from setting up concentration camps and the like, even though obviously the rest of the world was not aware of the actions of Germany at the time because they didn't have fucking internet. What is this? Here you go. Show this former podcast co-host. Show them that your community takes anti-Semitism seriously. What is this? USA is sold to Jews? Yeah, banned. Of course they're banned. Virtue signaling accusations incoming. Yeah, those people are, anyone that says that this community doesn't take anti-Semitism seriously is a fucking delusional loser. God damn, dude. Holy shit.